Did you know Lincoln's very own words sealed his fate 3 days before he died? 3 days before Abraham Lincoln was assassinated, he gave a speech that made his killer decide right there in the crowd that he had to die. And the manhunt that followed would end with the assassin being shot and paralyzed and would die from his injuries on a farmhouse porch. Most people know John Wilkes Booth was the Confederate sympathizer who shot Lincoln at a play. Almost nobody knows there's one specific sentence Lincoln said on one specific night that flipped a kidnapping plot into a murder. John Wilkes Booth was one of the most famous actors in America. He was good-looking, charming, and from a celebrated theater family. But underneath the fame, he was a committed white supremacist who had joined a pro-slavery secret society before the war even began. For years, his plan wasn't to kill Lincoln, it was to kidnap him, smuggle him to Richmond, and to trade him for Confederate prisoners of war. He'd even scout his chance to attack Lincoln at his second inauguration in March of 1865, standing close enough to have done it, but he held back. Then, on April 11, 1865, 2 days after Robert E. Lee surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse, ending any real hope for the Confederacy, Lincoln stepped out to a White House window to address the crowd celebrating outside. For the first time publicly, Abraham Lincoln said he supported voting rights for at least some Black Americans. Booth was standing right there. Witnesses said he turned to a man beside him and said, "This means Black citizenship," and vowed it would be the final speech Lincoln ever gave. His kidnapping plan was already dead because of the surrender. This speech is what turned it into an assassination. 3 days later, on April 14, 1865, Booth used his fame to walk into Ford's Theater and past the guards who recognized him as a regular performer there. During the play, Booth stepped into Lincoln's box, shot him once in the head at point-blank range, stabbed the officer who tried to stop him, and leapt onto the stage, breaking his leg. Booth shouted a Latin phrase, "Sic semper tyrannis," which means thus always to tyrants, before limping off stage and escaping out the back alleyway onto horseback into the night. What followed was one of the largest manhunts in American history. Nearly 1,000 soldiers searching for Booth over the next 12 days. He fled through Maryland and into Virginia with an accomplice, David Harold, hiding his broken leg, until soldiers finally cornered him into a tobacco barn on a farm near Port Royal on April 26, 1865. His accomplice, David Harold, surrendered immediately, but Booth refused, so the soldiers set the barn on fire to force him out. As the flames rose around him, Sergeant Boston Corbett shot Booth through a gap in the barn wall, even though he had direct orders to take Booth alive. He claimed that God told him to kill Booth, and that was his reasoning. Booth was then dragged out, paralyzed, and died on the farmhouse porch just a few hours later. His final words, whispered as he asked to see his own hands one last time, were, "Useless, useless." 4 of the co-conspirators were all hanged that summer, including the first woman ever executed by the federal government. If you like history videos just as much as I do, please like, comment, and subscribe for more future videos. Thanks for watching.